exclamation point 1D100 to let us know if we have a female character, a male character, or even a multi-class character for our second psionic. 31, we have a female character. Derek, can you please roll a D10 in chat? Exclamation point 1D10 to determine our race. Stops on a 3. We have an elf. Hello, the Zero Wolf. Zero Wolf, will you please type in exclamation point 1D3 and determine if we have a Drow Scion, a High Elf Scion, or a Wood Scion? One, we are making a Drow. Now, what is the alignment of our Drow? Hark, give me a percentile roll in chat. Derek's hoping for... We got a 54. We are neutral. We got the neutral part. Hello, iDragon. Alright, so we have a female Drow, medium-sized, alignment neutral. We know that we're making a wizard, a psionicist, a mentalist, a scion, and we're making her at level 18. Now, let's determine if she's going to take any feats or if she's going to be all ability scores. Third Falcon, will you please type exclamation point 1D100 to let us know if we're going to take any feats? $57, it's all stat bumps. There we go. You have a half hour before you have to give up your computer to your relief, but I'll try to come back. All right, Katniss, well, let us know when you do. All right, next up, we need to determine our background. What did she do when she was younger, or is she still doing it? Is it her hobby? Well, iDragon14, will you please type exclamation point 1D20 into chat? Come on up, buddy. Yeah, come and see everyone. Come on. Come on. Stops on a 14. A sage. She is a sage. Now, what is her sage specialty? And for this, can I get a roll from Demon Quiller? Can you please roll a D8 in chat? Hi, Pouty Lips. All right, she's whatever sage number 7 is. Come on, bud. Come on up. They already have cat butts loaded for you. Come on. Don't rub against the capsule box. Come on up. Nope, he's just gonna rub. Okay, well, that works. Now, we already... And there he is. Hi, everyone. I'm speaking to you live through a cat. Alright, now next up, we already know our class and our subclass, so we can skip that over, and wizards don't have class features. So really what we're going to do is come down here and bring up the Drow. Now, how old is our Drow? Just Otherness, will you please type exclamation point 1D100 into chat? Gonna loosen up some fur in your throat for you, bud. I think that's why we do this, huh? Oh, the cat fur's all over, Katniss. There you go. You get that worked out? Rolled a 4. We have a child prodigy. We have a child prodigy drow. Oh, dude, Neo Realms Smash Up is such a fun game. Neo Realms, how old is our drow character? Can you roll a d6 in chat for me, please? With exclamation point 1d6. Stops on a 2. She is 7 years old. Oh, Demon Quiller! She could be the nemesis. She could be the... You're correct. Well, the cat's looking around like, what's going on? Base height 4'5". Honestly, I don't think this needs to be anything more than a D6. Yeah, we have a ton of board games, Pouty Lips. Well, at least as per the player's handbook, they age like they biologically age the same as humans. It's just that they have a longer shelf life. So yeah, Bubonic One, can you give me a D6 roll, please? Well, maybe her psionic powers have prevented her from aging, and she looks like she's 7, but she's 700. Maybe her powers have instilled the wisdom of ages in her despite her young body. I mean, this could be a character that's like, have any of you read the Dance in the Vampire Bund manga? 3. So she is 4'8". Yeah, so she'd be like Mina Tepesh, in that regard. Who else can I call on for a die roll? Tesla, can you roll a D4 for her weight modifier? We're adding... So she is 78 pounds. Yeah, the main character in Dance in the Vampire Bund is extremely old. And again, that could be her psychic powers. She could just be a child prodigy. She could have been the result of an experiment. Would you put it past Drow to do psionic experiments and to try and make kids, especially girls, into extremely powerful magic users? I mean, she could be some Weapon X stuff going on. Hey, Blocks. Yep, we have had a cat on stream. It's an official stream now. So she could be like a Weapon X project. You know, she could be... Oh, I may be playing a video game at this very moment with that as a plot. Ooh. Patty Lip says, what would you recommend for a dungeon crawler or a fantasy co-op game with minis that I could play with my wife? Maybe where we get a character, we go through and fight monsters together. Let's see. Boy, Pouty Lips, I'll tell you what. Can you send me a message about that? My brain is not in board game mode right now. But I'll take a look at the shelf and let you know what I have. Like, when you say things like cooperative, I'm like, oh, I even forgot what I was going to say, and that was an oh moment. Pandemic. Pandemic would be interesting. Betrayal at House on the Hill, and if you want a fantasy spin, there's the Baldur's Gate version. It's cooperative to a point, and then it turns into, well, something else. It doesn't always have to, it could still be cooperative afterwards. Daily recommends Gloomscape. Alright, so we have our little chibi drow here, who is packed full of power. Her brain is just... Oh, Dragon Strike. I had that. Yeah. Drow experimenting on children. Clearly this backfired and put them into neutral. Well, if she's fresh out of the vat, I mean, maybe she's been grown in a vat for 7 years. But she had some, maybe it was like an Illithid crossover where they tried to, maybe they captured a brain and they tried to, like, distill the brain essence into a drow child. And so she just hasn't been outside the tube long enough to earn that E on her alignment. All right, so we have her age, her height, her weight. We have a lot of these placeholders with the exception of her personality traits and her ideal bond and flaw. So could I get, Derek, can you give me a 4d6 roll in chat for her ideal bond and flaw? Chaotic Blue, can I get a d8 roll in chat for one of her personality traits? 4, 4, and 3. Ideal, bond, and flaw. And Chaotic Blue is going to give me a d8. It lands on a 1. And then her second personality trait, can I get a daily? Can you roll a d8 in chat for me? And give us our second personality trait. Oh, it's 1d8. One and 3. All right. So now we have our possibly vat-grown drow experiment. You know, that's infusing all of this information and power into a small drow package. And, Derek, I don't know. Let's see if we can give Selcrest a run for her money as a warlock. I mean, obviously we're making her at level 18, but, you know, just in concept here. Would this be a girl that Larshali could invite to her house not for murder? Let's take a look-see. Now, for all of you who have your player's handbooks open, go to chapter 4 that talks about backgrounds. And we are going to skip ahead until we get to the Sage. We are going to have Arcana and History as our proficiencies. We're going to get 2 languages of our choice, so we're going to be able to speak Common, Elven, and then 2 others. Not for murder? Of course. There are so many more uses for them when they're alive. Equipment, bottle of black ink, a quill. Oh, you know what? We got to go back to the other wizard and find out what his charm was. But still, you know, if we come down here, so we have black ink, quill, small knife. That could be a dagger if your DM says so. Then we have a letter from a dead colleague posing a question you have not yet been able to answer. Ugh. Does every sage have a dead colleague? What if this is just a topic of research or something to study? This could also end up being her psionic focus. And so for this, her question, her raison d'etre, an artifact that could be with her to help keep her psychic powers focused. You know, so we'll put our psionic focus / field of study is a trinket. That could be the case. Someone could be killing everyone else, every other sage's colleague. It's good for a Call of Cthulhu, isn't it, Derek? Bubonic one, can you give me a percentile roll for which trinket she has that's been left to her in some way? How about it's research she stole from the place where she was vat grown, and they want it back? 29. All right, trinket number 29, and we'll take a look at that here. An unsolved arcane equation? We'll see. Common clothes. Maybe she just wears a simple, like a burlap sack almost. What if she eschews fashion? She might not. We'll see what her personality is. And I believe we get some starting gold equal to 10 gapuz. There we go. Now, what is her specialty? You know, if she was made, like, made as a sage, as this mentalist, she's definitely going to have a 20 int. Faux show. What was she grown to specialize in? A wizard's apprentice. So she is the product of a wizard. Or how about this? How about this? Have any of you seen Tanya the Evil? Where someone who was a great personality with experience and knowledge ends up in the body of not who he was. If she was, or this is her identity, as a wizard's apprentice, what if she is actually a wizard who's been cloned, reincarnated? What if this was a psionic experiment on behest of, in conjunction with, or in spite of Illithids? Or is she honestly just a vat-grown assistant to a wizard who grows his assistants because he can trust them? And maybe that's why she's neutral, because she won't develop that embitterment that could possibly make a resentment. Or if we're talking this is a drow wizard, probably not a him, most likely a her. This is getting, and again, it kind of brings us back to that that Weapon X project in, Weapon X in Marvel Comics. You know, was her brain transferred from someone to someone else? Female drows would be much more likely to try and clone themselves over the males. Well, yeah, why have to interact with men? Ew. When you could just clone yourself and not have to deal with them. Like reusing the previous apprentice and improving the design. Hey, there we go, Third Falcon. Yeah, and you know what? If we're talking drow science, and Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that drow are in your in your field of expertise. I don't think that the drow would necessarily have a problem with trying this cloning method or this brain transference, dabbling in psionics. Or trying to create an even more perfect drow. And hopefully with less and less photocopy on photocopy artifacts that keep showing up. Now, her feature is Researcher. When you attempt to learn or recall a piece of lore and you don't know the information, you often know where and from whom you could obtain it. There's more, but that's the gist. She's a bit of like a library where she either knows it or she knows where she can find it and and help get to it. Not necessarily a problem if it gives their house an advantage, probably a lower house trying to close the gap. The drow could be trying to build the better Illithid killer. To build a weapon to use against the Illithids. You know, to use their own weapons against them with psionic magic. This could be a Drow house that is either specializing in or will use this to gain honor by trying to, like, breed and create. Older houses tend to stick to tried and true. Younger tend to take more desperate measures. And so think about this: if she was made as an experiment like this, right? If they have a way to copy brains into this, Illithids would love to take love to take Drow as slaves. I mean, the Duergar might and sell them to Illithids, but what better Trojan horse than a small Drow girl with tremendous power? You send her out in a potato sack, and she wanders the Underdark until she's inevitably captured. She gets up close to the elder brain of the colony or something like that, or just when, things are looking bad, she explodes with psionic power and uses this even against the Illithids right in their base. Yep, or in league with Mind Flayers. Demon Quiller, I'm going to jump on a dangerous limb here. So the Drow under their matriarchal society have developed cloning enough to breed or reproduce without males while subjugating them. I mean, it's contextual, Demon Quiller. I mean, in the society that's presented for the Drow, I don't think it would, well, yeah, so a Drow male is leagues above everything else, but they're also leagues behind the females. But yeah, I would imagine that maybe not all Drow, or this could still be experimental, but if they could find a way to not need men, they may very well pursue that. And if not all Drow, again, this could be its own little city, or its own little, almost like a little, like, Drow Potemkin village set up somewhere else in the Underdark. Hi, Devil Lord. Well, I hope you're doing okay otherwise. Now, what is her personality? What is our little firecracker's personality, if she is a firecracker? Number 1, I use polysyllabic words that convey the impression of great erudition. She uses them fancy $2 words, what? And number 3, I'm used to helping out those who aren't as smart as I am, and I patiently explain anything and everything to others. All right, Katniss, thanks for joining us as long as you have. It was great to have you. Next, what is her ideal? Her ideal is number 4, no limits. Nothing should fetter the infinite possibility inherent in all existence. Those are good possibilities too, iDragon. Shouldn't those descriptions have more polysyllabic words? There are some that do. What is her bond? Her bond is number 4. My life's work is a series of tomes related to a specific field of lore. This could be why she was created, if we want to go with that. Or, again, she could have just been some rando, poor, born into a low house, 7-year-old kid. Her family put her up for slavery or adoption because they couldn't take care of her. And a Drow wizard said, sure, bring her in. Wiped her mind, imprinted information to mold her, whether or not she was grown in a vat or weaponized in some other fashion. And so we're talking about a life's work. from a 7-year-old who might have the mind of a 700-year-old. And so she was given purpose. Her bond, right? She is meant to do something to a specific field of lore. And so what has she been made to do? What is her field of study? This could very well relate to her trinket. And so I'll tell you what, we'll reveal that after her flaw. Her flaw is number 3. Unlocking an ancient mystery is worth the price of civilization. Unlocking an ancient mystery is worth the price of civilization. So if it means she can fulfill her purpose, she would absolutely undermine her family, her creator, and other Drow. Or, if not the Drow, I mean, maybe, if it came to it. Or, as Derek was pointing out, she would absolutely sacrifice an entire city if it meant wringing all their blood to perform a ritual to solve an ancient mystery. To her, it's worth it. All right, let's take a peek real quick at what her trinket was. What was the thing that was instilled in her that's going to become her psionic focus, which, by the way, becomes a part of her when she takes her psychic form. We're going to go to Chapter 5, Equipment, real quick, and take a look. This was number 29, and this could give us a clue as to what her purpose is, or how she came to be. 29, a pair of old socks. A pair of old socks. What does this mean? What do you mean when Jacob dies? What are you talking about? Also, the Drow are in the player's handbook. I don't have a problem with that, Derek. Whose socks were they? Were they the wizards? There's a connection. Are they ancient socks that belong to a king of an old society? Are they somehow a random pair of socks that fell down a well and washed down the Underdark, but they have a magical aura about them? They're also kind of silly, and I like it. Real quick, let's go back to Brenner Bunsen here. His psionic focus was trinket number 19, which was a pipe that blows bubbles. And for someone who needs patience working in a kitchen environment, or even the fact that you have thought bubbles that can come out of this pipe, I like it. I like it. All right, sorry. Let's get back to the. Let's get back to this. Let's find out who she is as an elf, because we know her personality, and we have been talking about her origin. Bye, Katniss. Dex increases by 2. We are going to get 120 feet of dark vision. We are going to get 30 feet of movement with a 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. Keen senses, we have proficiency in the perception skill. We do have Fey ancestry, so this is going to give us advantage versus being charmed. And magic can't put us to sleep. We can also trance, which is going to give us a long rest in 4 hours. And we already have our languages. So if we come down to, come on now, Dark Elf or the Drow, your charisma score increases by 1. We do have sunlight sensitivity. And we are going to get some Drow magic. So Drow magic is going to give us dancing lights. And we're going to copy this onto the spell page. We are also going to know Fairy Fire and Darkness. Once per long rest off of Charisma. And this is also off of Drow Magic. And then we're going to know Darkness. And we're also going to get Drow weapon training. You have proficiency with rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. So for sure, we're going to get to maximize. We're going to be a stabby little wizard also. So not only can we cast spells, but we're going to be a little stabby, a stabby kid. Spell Society, good morning or evening, depending on, I guess, your time zone. Still, Spell Society, welcome. You're going to take off 2 Third Falcon. Thank you for joining us again. It was a pleasure to have you. Maybe they're socked from an old drow that got destroyed. Well, hey, you know what? When you're turned into a drider, you don't need socks anymore. Oh, it's 11:52 for you? Ah, yes, the graveyard shift. And it's 2:53 here in Ohio land. So for weapons, I'm going to put Drow and Wizard, since those are both specific lists. Excellent. We're a Drow. Dun, 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 dun. Now we're going to make a Wizard. 18th level Wizard. We are going to get 5 cantrips. We are going to have a +6 proficiency bonus. And we're going to have spell slots 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, 1, 1, and 1. We are a D6 hit die class, and we have 18 D6 because we're level 18 that we can spend to rest up and recover hit points on a rest. No armor proficiencies, though. We have our weapon, no armor. We do have wizard weapons. No tool proficiencies. Intelligence and wisdom are going to be our saves. And then we're going to get 2 skills from Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. Well, we use polysyllabic words. We're used to helping people out who aren't as smart as I am. She patiently explains things to people. Now, we already have Arcana and History. So, I mean, that takes 2 right off of the beginning of the list here. So we have Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. Unlocking an ancient mystery is worth the price of civilization. My life's work is a series of tomes related to a specific field of lore. Blocks is calling out Spell Society. Although I'm glad that we can be a meeting place here. You know, I think we should. Why don't we lean into the fact she's a smarty pants? Why don't we give her, if she wants to unlock an ancient mystery, a lot of ancient mysteries are bundled up with religion, and I think investigation. You know, she's not too worried about medicine. She's not too worried about reading people's emotions. She already knows she's the best, and she's going to carry herself as such. So she is going to be all brain. Oh, I did not see your question. Sorry about that. Well, I saw you said that you're doing better. Did you ask something else? Is it still in scrolling range? Yeah, all I've seen is you've been quiet because you've been held up with something, but you're doing better. And so you might need to repeat it for me. I'm not going to worry about equipment and spell casting. We're not going to get to yet. We're going to skip. We're going to skip that over. Now I'm going to be a little cheaty face McCheaterton here, and I'm going to copy the fact that we get arcane recovery and spell mastery from being a wizard. I mean, a wizard alone doesn't get a lot. You get more abilities off of your specialty. So if you want to know about arcane recovery and spell mastery, then they're in the player's handbook and in system resource document, an SRD. Please read them, but we're not here to talk about this. We are here to talk about the goodies. And the goodies are what is here in the playtest material, especially as we apply these to our little drow. So we're going to get a psionic focus, and we said that was an old pair of socks that has some kind of meaning. Maybe some kind of an impression. They were worn into battle, and they have this knowledge that was sort of imprinted on the blood that was spilt or they soaked up, or something along those lines. So the object is a spellcasting focus for you, and you just imagine this little drow rolling around in a potato sack holding out socks, but casting powerful psychic magic through it. When you roll psychic or force damage for any of your wizard spells, you can re-roll any of those damage dice that roll a 1, but you must use the new roll. So maybe the socks are even mismatched. One is psychic and one is force. If your psionic focus is lost, you can magically recreate it. So we always can summon a pair of socks if necessary. If we're captured and everything is taken from us, even our socks, after an hour, we can have socks. Now, there is the block. We read it for the prior character. It's here for you all. Whoop. Let me recapture the link for you. If you want to read it in specificity, however, I'm not going to go back over that with this character because we've already been over it once. But it is up here for you to read, and you can download this document for free from the link provided. Vampires pretend to be people. People wear socks. Vampires not wearing socks is a masquerade violation. Ta-da! Chaotic Blue, I don't know. What do you want? It says socks. They could possibly be tights or stockings. They could be knee-high socks, loose socks. They could be tennis socks. What do you want them to be? You know, do we have a scholarly, if she's a scholar, does she wear, is she dressed the part? Does she have the mortarboard, the Oxford shirt with a vest, a pleated skirt, and some socks that go to her knees? You know, in the little buckle shoes or something? Is she a little ragamuffin running around? Action Ice steals the... So her socks are actually an entire fishing net. Maybe she wears a lab coat. Yeah. Now, what if something happened? What if something happened and she was in a tube in a lab and the lab was attacked? Who knows how much time has passed until finally, I don't know, something happens and she's released from her growth vat that could have been hidden. And she goes into an empty lab and roots around and finds the first thing she bonds with are socks, maybe. Or she wears an old lab coat. What happened to the lab? What happened to her creator? Do we have a Frankenstein's monster on our hands that is running around in the form of a 7-year-old drow girl who has infinite mental powers, but who hasn't really learned about them? What would she discover on her own in the Underdark if she had to go from a clandestine lab hidden away and savaged by something back into either Drow society or taking a tour into Duragar territory or Darrows or through monstrous caverns? What if she encounters a beholder as this 7-year-old drow? That'd be a fun solo adventure. You know, you and a DM like alone at a table running, that would be a lot of fun. No, I mean, you could have a party too, because other people could come out of vats, but you posted your question again, so you said, did I see your question? Yes. Go. Question. What is your favorite movie set during the holidays? Example, Die Hard or Gremlins? That's a good question. I don't know what my favorite, I don't know what my favorite Christmas movie would be. I don't have an answer for you, Devil Lord. I'm sorry. I mean, unless you count something like a Charlie Brown Christmas, because I really like that. But yeah, you know, the Santa Claus was pretty good. Elf was pretty good. Yeah. Alright, so I'm sorry, where were we? Oh yes, our psionic devotion. Your study of psionics begins to unleash your mind's potential. When you gain this feature, choose one of the following cantrips: Friends, Mage Hand, or Message. You learn that cantrip if you don't already know it, and it doesn't count against the number of wizard cantrips you know. While your psionic focus is on your person, you can cast the chosen cantrip as a bonus action, requiring no components, and with the modification, I think she'd take Friends. When the spell ends, the target doesn't become hostile towards you. She'll just go around and, you know, bat her pretty red eyes and cast Friends all the time on people to charm them. That's my opinion. So we have DM and Psionic Devotion. So this is going to cast Dancing Lights and Friends, respectively. And down here, we can add another cantrip of Psionic Devotion, Friends. And still go for the 5 cantrips. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Fill in spell slots real quick. 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1, 1, 1, and 1. There we go. Yeah, exactly, Chaotic Blue. Yeah, cast Friends on everyone and anyone. So here we have this this adorable little smarty pants 7-year-old drow. I mean, no one knows that she was grown in a lab or whatever, but she just goes up and she befriends everyone she meets. Yeah, the fact that she's using her brain to subjugate other people into being her friends. People forget the other part of Friends. Which part is that, Derek? That part in the coffee shop? It is manipulative. Now, that said, does she realize it's manipulative? Derek, this specifically takes care of that. When the spell ends, the target doesn't become hostile towards you. With this version of it. Because she's using her psionic brain to just, you know, hey, let's be friends. And, like, let's be friends, like, enters the brain and yes, let's be friends. And, hey, there's a big eyeball down that tunnel. Will you help me out? Oh, yeah. Sure. I'll help you out, little girl. You'll protect me? Of course, I'll protect you, little girl. Show me where that eyeball is. That mean old eyeball. Yeah, show me where that mean old eyeball is, my little friend. I'll protect you. All right, now we're going to take... we're going to take Thought Form. While you're carrying your Psionic Focus, you can use while we're carrying our socks, you can use a bonus action to magically transform your body into pure psionic energy. The transformation lasts for 10 minutes until you use a bonus action to assume your normal form, or until you are incapacitated or die. While in thought form, you are a figure of luminous psychic energy, with your psionic focus hovering within. You know, so our heart is a pair of socks. Your form can appear as anything you wish, but it is obviously magical, is the same size as you, and sheds dim light in a 5-foot radius. Any other equipment you are wearing or carrying transforms with you and melds into your thought form. You also gain the following benefits. What do you think what would her thought form look like, everyone? Demon, Derek, Blue. What would this little drow look like when she takes on her thought form? Psionic spellcasting. When you cast a spell while in thought form, you can cast the spell psionically. If you do, the spell doesn't require verbal, somatic, or material components that lack a gold cost. And psychic resilience. You gain resistance to the psychic damage, or to psychic damage, and to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. You can transform using this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is going to be int per long rest. Honestly, she's going to be a super smarty. We're just going to put 5. And by the way, I think we have to edit. Yeah, he can do this 5 times also. Mental discipline. Your mind's power expands to greater heights. When you gain this feature, choose one of the following spells: Dominate Person, Scrying, or Telekinesis. Probably Dominate Person. And you can cast it without components. You can also cast the chosen spell once without expending a spell slot. After you do so, you regain the ability to cast the spell without a slot when you finish a long rest. So let's come down to Mental Discipline. And I definitely think she would take Dominate Person once per long rest. Something like the Anodites from Ben 10. I'm not familiar with what that is, Devil. Demon says a stalagmite comes to mind, being underground. So her psychic form would be as a roper? Kind of? Like so she'd turn into the tentacle monster? We would also have Empowered Psionics. When you deal psychic or force damage with a wizard spell, you can add your intelligence modifier to the damage against one of the spell's targets. Thought Travel. While using your thought form, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. And you can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside an object. If you return to your normal form while inside an object, you are shunted to the nearest unoccupied space, and you take 1d10 force damage for every 5 feet traveled. And then we come back around to where it says psionic spells. This is a prompt that gives you a good idea about if you are going to play a scion. These are very thematically psionic spells. And here we have a list with the ones with the asterisk as the new spells that are introduced here in this playtest guide. And that starts on page 6 and goes through page, well, I guess 9, but that's, it's a bullet point. Actually, through page 8. There's 2 new feats, telekinetic and telepathic. And that takes you to page 9. We went through this with our other character, Brenner, so I don't want to repeat them again. She would probably take many of these. And so now let's add her ability scores to her. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. She is definitely a smarty stockings. We're going to put the 15 there. I think she's also very nimble. So let's give her a 14 dex. A 13 charisma. Let's give her... I don't know if wisdom... Would wisdom... She hasn't really been around that long, I think. She has a good saving throw, which is an 8. And perception's kind of an 8 from being out of there. 15, 14, 13... You know what? Let's give her a little bit of constitution. She was She was born tough in that vat. 10 strength and 8 wisdom. An 8 wisdom wizard. How about that? Thought form is like a Patronus? Well, would she even know what a Drider is? Maybe. If we're saying that her, you know, if other people's thoughts were put into her, then she might know what a Drider is. Or would that be a, you know, is it just that her brain has been unlocked? She has the capability of learning, or she just has a general database of information. She just doesn't know how to use it yet. Yeah, she might not even know what a Drider is. She views herself as a failure in Lolth's eyes, so she manifests as a Drider. Well, you know what? We did give her religion. So, Derek, that might be, whether she's conscious of it or not, if she, maybe it's dependent on her mood. Her thought form could be her mood. If she does feel like she failed, maybe she just sort of passively turns into a Drider. Yeah, like latent memories from her clone, something like that. And hello, Hypnotic. I hope you had a lot of fun over at D&D time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch the VOD on that. Although I don't know. I don't know when I'll get the opportunity to. Hopefully, I will. But what? Can you give me a synopsis of things? If there's a spoiler, you don't have to spoil anything. But what were some highlights? So this is going to put her dexterity to a 16. This is going to put her charisma to a 14. And now we get to add 8 points to her stats. Well, of that, you know, remember, if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think she's absolutely intelligent. And we're going to use 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From here, I mean, we could pump up her dex another little bit, or we could put on more charisma. But you know what? I think she's going to rely on her spells for that. She has a natural, approachable charisma, right? She has a latent charisma, which is okay. It's gonna make her a generalist. So I wonder then, should we put 2 points into wisdom and bring that to 10, or are you comfortable keeping her at this wisdom level and then throwing it into dexterity? So she can save and stab better, or constitution, so she can, she's more of a survivor, or into strength, so she can carry a little bit more stuff. I think in either case, we're going to dump the 1 into strength, though that's not going to change her mod. We killed a lich with everyone falling off their elks with fall damage. So it was interesting, and I flew off after I did a thunder wave, like a drive-by. Super funny session. I'm glad you had a lot of fun. I mean, that's the point of D&D time. You have some good slapstick fun. Some interesting things happen. Poor Lemek. And I guess we'll see him again around another holiday that he wants to mess up. She may be a prodigy. She's still a child. Leave the wisdom as it is. Okay, so do you want to make her... Do you want to make her a little hardier? Do you want to increase her constitution? Or do we really want to make her... You know, that dexterity will help her offensively and defensively. So that could just be survival. Plus, I mean, she's a kid. So they could be very dexterous as well. So do you want to make her a little hardier? Or a little bit more dexterous? I kind of like that maybe she's not aware of her forms because they are these latent memories. So like what Derek was talking about, if she feels sad or if she feels like she's failed, her form would be that of a Drider because it's latently in her brain. Probably the dex. All right, Dragon will bring her dex up to an 18. This is going to give her 0 strength, 4 dex, 1 con, 5 int, -1 wisdom, and 2 charisma. This is going to give us a strength save of 0, athletics is 0, dex is 4 down the line, so she's limber, con of 1. Now intelligence, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, and nature is just a 6. I'm sorry, it's just a 5. Wisdom is going to be -1, with the exception of perception, which is 5, and her saving throw, which is 5. All right, Derek, it's awesome to have you here, brother. Thanks for stopping in and sharing your input on this character. Sleep well, and we'll see you around. Charisma is just going to be 2 down the line. She just has a natural way about her. Now, her passive perception is going to be a 15, as that's 10 plus her perception modifier, which is her natural awareness. Her armor class, I don't know. She doesn't wear armor. She might use spells. Her initiative is a dex check, so it's a +4. Now for her hit points. Well, her hit points are going to be the same as Brenner's. Because he also had that 1 to Constitution from working in the kitchen. She got hers from being grown in a vat. So she's going to have 92. If she's attacking with a strength weapon, it'll be at a +6. If she's attacking with a dex weapon, it'll be at a +10. Ooh, she'll tag you with that hand crossbow or that rapier. If she's attacking with her brain, that's a +11. And to save versus however she makes you dance, you need a 19. All right. She has earned a name, by the way, everyone. Does she have... Is there a name that that is ringing out to you for her? It could be an experimental name. Maybe it's something she found on her vat. It could be something that isn't a memory. It could be, honestly, just a given name. Or, I don't know, she woke up and it was sewn on a tag on her underwear. She's like, oh, who's this? Oh, all right, so I guess I'm this person. You know, how would you want to do this? If she's a wizard's apprentice, of course, that was the prompt for her being kind of the product of an experiment. Would she take the wizard's name? Or would she be like Wizard Junior? Or would she just be, I woke up and the first thing I saw is socks? Is that her name? Is her name Socks? Or Two Socks? Or something like that. Spider Socks. While you're thinking of that, she casts off of Int. You need a 19 to save and a +11 to hit. Nice references on the spell sheet. We're casting as per a wizard, and spells prepared equal our wizard level 18 plus our Int mod, which is 23, or which is 5, means that we can prepare 23 spells from all the spells on our list. Now, if you remember from Brenner, wizards get a lot of spells. And remember, this progression is as you would take it if you maxed it out. Honestly, your spell book would probably look a lot different, and you'd have a lot more spells in the meteor sections, and probably only a couple here where you're more pinched for your spell slots. Still, if we did this, then I mean, let's transfer everything over at level 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we get 2 at level 2, 2 at level 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If you like this character and you wanted to download her, obviously you can play around with the spells that you would want her to have and the levels. You know, just because you take a spell at level 15 doesn't mean it has to be a level 8 spell. You could take 2 really solid level 1 spells, because remember, many will allow you to upcast into higher tiers, so they might as well be a level 9 spell even though you got them at level 1. You know, it's just, it's old trusty. There we go. And that this list also includes her racial spells and her psionic special stuff. Spell Society, you're back, and with it, I place a curse upon the Taco Bell Destroyer of Bowels. Oh, well, welcome back, Spell Society. I hope you feel better. But you know what? I'll tell you, Taco Bell does taste good, even if, you know, people process it differently, and we might have regrets later. Too bad Kat left. She might have had something to say about Taco Bell. Oh, yeah, she mentioned being there. Name idea? Sewtocks, Apprentice of whomever. It's like someone unleashed a grease throw inside my body. Oh, jeez. So where did Sewtocks come from, Demon? TUE-SAT. Oh, okay. I see what you did. Got it. Got it. Yeah, and you know, Dragon, you can always use a fantasy name generator. And not that you can't offer them here in chat, but if you do stuff like, I don't know if you have a methodology, you roll random letters, you do a demon did, you take a look around, and you say, oh, you know what? Let's name her... let's name her Cessor. Or Cessir. It even has the fantasy apostrophe. S''ESEER. Cessir. Hi, I'm Cessir. That sounds like an elven name. She woke up out of the vat with just 2 socks, named herself? Yeah, that's fine. Short for television? Televive? Televive? Cessir Sewtocks. Or like Tel Aviv, the Israeli, the city. And of course, what is a good fantasy name that doesn't have a hyphen? Apprentice of Viva-let. Cessir Sewtocks, Apprentice of Viva-let. And she'll probably even include that to show her, you know... And people might not ever have heard of Viva-let. Because again, what if she was stuck in that vat? What if the experiment started... The place was raided by Duragar or even Elithids, but she was just a wee babby little, like a little egg growing, and she spent 7 years growing in that vat before the vat like opened up and spilled her out. Viva-let is Tel Aviv backwards. So it makes it into it kind of fantasizes it a little bit. But, you know, the color purple's common in the Underdark. Maybe Spell Society, there's a lot of conjecture that you can put onto this character Hi, Diadems, welcome. There's a lot of conjecture that you can put on this character, and so if you like her and you want to experiment with her, you'll be able to download her off of our Discord server, and you can play around with her spells. You can play around with aspects of her. You can restat her if you want. Have fun. She is a new friend for us to play with, and hopefully not have our minds derped. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have 2 complete psionic sorcerer, psionic wizards now.